Welcome to the Biz Connection, a show dedicated to the education, motivation, inspiration, and empowerment of business entrepreneurs everywhere. Now, here are your hosts, Jim Rossetti and Ron Nielsen.
Okay, we are back and we are talking business. And Ron, we're going to poke our noses into somebody's business again today. What do you think about that?
Hey, I think this is the most fun thing I do each and every week.
And we aren't going to get our noses cut off because I think people like it.
I think they do.
Yeah. Anyway, we were talking business. You're listening to America's All Business Talk Show on the radio. And remember, behind every business, there's a story to tell, and we tell the story behind the story. And we're going to do that again today.
That's exactly right. So many times, as businesses flourish, as they grow, we forget about the person that started them. And just about every single business I can think of, it always started with one person.
One person, yeah.
Struggling to make it. And, the stories, how they made it, that's what we like to feature on the Biz Connection. The
biggest Fortune 100, Fortune 500 companies in America or in the world started as an idea in one person's mind.
One person. And when you look at large companies, you can just about name any one. And in fact, we're going to talk about some of them today.
Okay, our mission on this show is to educate, motivate, and inspire. We like to put those two words together because they belong together. Mm-hmm. And we hope that it brings about empowerment. So empowering, and hopefully if we're doing it right, Ron, we're entertaining folks a little bit too.
We try to do that.
And we're a clearinghouse for all business resources thanks to our relationship with SCORE that we can tap into those resources.
Absolutely.
And our guests include business owners, business experts, business coaches, business authors, and hard-working entrepreneurs.
And they're telling their stories of success and sometimes what it's taken to achieve that success.
Yeah. It's believe me, it's not an easy road. People usually have to get the starting part of entrepreneurship is just like any other business. Ask anybody that started in the insurance business how tough it was the first couple of years.
That's right.
And but then the rewards start coming in because you paid your dues, right? You went out there, you shoveled a little bit, you laid some pipe, you got the thing going, and suddenly the water spigot gets turned on. You go, hey, it's coming in, man. It's all gravy.
But it's not an easy road.
It's not an easy road. Absolutely not. A little article here I wanted to share with people today. Avoid the 7 temptations that may undermine your business. And I might not get to all 7 today because I don't want to step on your time slot here, but expanding too quickly. I see that happen sometimes in businesses. They get off the starting gate and they really get a flood of business right early on. And they think that it's never going to end, and they're not equipped to handle that big load of business in the early stages.
That's right.
So we've run into that. We've had a few guests on the show.
You can actually grow yourself into a financial deficit where you can no longer afford to continue. Well, that sounds strange, but it happens.
It does, and one of the things that happens is when you can't handle the business and you have to do a sloppy job, right, and you can't get the job done, it doesn't, the stigma of what the negative doesn't go away easy. It dies hard, and it sometimes can destroy a business before it really gets, And it's too bad that happens. So, second thing is broadcasting your accomplishments, and some people go out and toot their horn too early in the game too, especially when they're flourishing in the early stages like that. Hey, we're never, it's going great guns. It's absolutely, and then you see them a year later, and what happened to that business? Oh, I had to file bankruptcy, man. I had to save my house, my car, everything. Sometimes you get a little bit too aggressive. It doesn't hurt to go out and PR yourself. I'm not knocking that, but sometimes people over-toot.
That's right, and that's where sometimes a mentor can come in, because sometimes an entrepreneur doesn't even realize they're doing that.
You got it. Now, another thing that's a bad habit is bad-mouthing competition. You go out there, and even if the client tells you how bad the company they're using, the servicer is doing, if you jump into that and start engaging in that bad-mouthing, it's coming back to bite you, I guarantee you. It's happened too many times, I've seen it.
Don't try to make yourself look good by making somebody else look bad.
It doesn't work.
No.
Does not work. Number 4 is foot dragging and adopting new technology. Either you're going to engage in technology or you're going to miss the boat.
And that's another one that's easy to do, especially for some of us older entrepreneurs.
Well, yeah.
It is difficult to learn things like Facebook and social networking, along with the technology that goes along with it. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I spent an afternoon or sometimes days just trying to get my wireless printer hooked up.
I still got to get help turning on my computer. It hasn't come easy, let me tell you. And number 5 is putting personal needs ahead of business needs. And sometimes, we bring in our bad habits into our businesses, and we let it overtake us. We get distracted. We find personal things that we think are good for us and good business moves, but they'll come back to
That's
bite
right.
us. Yeah.
When things get tough, that's a real easy thing to do.
Falsely claiming eco-friendliness. If you're not a company that really is practicing the green movement stuff, stay out of the boasting that you are.
That's
if
right.
you aren't. Because
right.
people are going to hold your feet to the fire.
Exactly.
Number 7, showing a preference for high-end customers, and we all have a tendency to do that. Hey, that one throws a lot of business our way. We're going to give him preference over your order, and you kind of go on the back burner.
That's right. And then suddenly that high-end customer goes away, and then suddenly there goes your business because you haven't treated everybody equally.
Easy to do, believe me. So, okay, I don't want to step on your time because you got good stuff every week for us. So, I'm turning the floor to you.
All right. Well, I've got a couple. This comes from an article I found on the internet. It's 10 Fortune 500 companies that started with next to nothing. Mm-hmm. And one of the ones that we're going to talk about today is Apple. Everybody, I think knows the story of Apple, but do they really know the story?
Yeah.
So you remember the scene in Forrest Gump when he explains that he never has to worry about money again
right. The
because
Apple
of his
logo.
investment?
Yeah.
His investment in a fruit company called Apple. Well,
that's what he thought it was.
That's right. Well, the truth is that for many investors, this was actually the case. Mm-hmm. Like many tech companies, Apple started in a garage of a young man by the name of Steve Wozniak. Mm-hmm. Wozniak was the electronics hacker.
He's also a good guitar player.
That's right. And he and his longtime friend, Steve Jobs, I'm not sure how he pronounced it, had this idea to create a personal computer. Way back in 1976, the two approached a local electronics store to see if they would be interested in buying a personal computer that Wozniak had built. The owner of the store became interested and said he wanted 50 units. Wozniak and Jobs, both penniless at the time, went to a local computer parts supplier and ordered the parts on credit based on their first purchase order. That was the start of Apple computers. Though the company had its ups and downs through its 30-year history, Apple has proven to be the company that produces the industry standard time and time again.
Right.
From the garage of Steve Wozniak to being ranked 103 in the Fortune 500, and actually, I believe, since this article is written, they are much, much higher than that. Apple continues to grow and to prove to
Probably
be
one of the most valuable companies in the world.
I believe it is, to be a wise investment for all of those who are looking to expand their portfolios in a fruit company.
And how many companies, when they just announce a new product, do they get people camping out in front of their retail location?
It is absolutely
to buy
amazing.
their product, yeah.
And they have kind of changed just from computers. Yeah. Now they're big into phones, mobile phones,
and in driverless cars.
That's right. They're really driving a lot of technology, and it's just kind of an amazing.
We ran into one on the freeway the other. Is that the guy that almost hit you? There was no driver?
Well, I'm not sure.
I like it.
But anyway, here's a story of another tech company called Dell. Have you ever heard of Dell?
I sure did. Michael Dell, and I've met Michael Dell.
Right,
yes.
You have?
Yes.
Well, this is the story of Dell Computers. Dell was at one time the largest seller of personal computers and servers in the world. Mm-hmm. Presently, Dell is ranked 34 in the Fortune 500, which I believe they're probably a little bit higher.
He started the University of Texas in a dormitory. Is where he began.
And in 2008, and obviously this is a little bit old, but they had revenues of $61 billion with assets topping 27.5.
He was the youngest guy under 40 to be worth 21.5 billion with a B.
Right. The path to success that Dell now enjoys began with an idea and $1,000 of investment. While attending the University of Texas in 1984, Michael Dell founded the company as PCs Limited. Initial operations of Dell's company ran from Dell's dorm room until he decided to drop out of college to run his company full-time. In 1985, the company produced the first computer of its own design, and 3 years later, in 1988, had an initial public offering that valued the company at nearly $80 million. So when you think about that, going from his dorm room to an $80 million public offering in 3 years, it's absolutely astounding.
And they did well, but they never found the real magic attraction that Apple found.
That's right.
To hold on to their clientele.
That's right.
Yeah.
Apple.
And Michael Dell admitted that in a speech that he made one time. So interesting stuff. Okay, we are coming up on a break. You are listening to America's All Business Talk Show on the radio. We're coming right back with our guest, so stay with us.
Did you know that $11 billion is lost annually due to employee turnover? Companies that lose employees at an alarming rate lose more than just employees. They suffer profit loss. That's why leadership ability in today's workplace matters. Leadership development is arguably the single most important investment any company can make. As much as 75% of employees don't quit their job, they quit their boss. You can't buy loyalty, and you need loyal employees. You need a workplace culture that brings out the hidden leadership qualities that exist in all employees. Watch the LLR Equip, Engage, Empower 5-minute video at bizconnectionwi.com. Again, that site is bizconnectionwi.com.
The quality of your people is what separates good companies from great companies. Selecting and building a quality workforce requires time and effort. That effort often takes you away from your core business. The Nielsen Group can free you from that stressful and time-intensive task. The Nielsen Group specializes in hiring and all aspects of managing your workforce. With years of HR knowledge and experience, the Nielsen Group will recruit, train, retain, recognize, build a high-performance team, and instill leadership in your workforce that will take your company to the very top. Don't stress for another minute. Call the Nielsen Group now at 920-876-4101 or visit thenielsengroup.org and receive a free information kit. You can have your very own human resource department to help you manage your most important asset, your people. Call today and schedule an appointment at 920-876-4101.
You are my soulmate, my best friend. I love you so much. And Debbie Matthews.
Oh, Jeff, I can't believe it.
Will you marry me?
I'm going to have to check with my supervisor and okay this with the head office.
At Bank First, we believe that some decisions should be made on the spot. That's why we empower our branches to give you the answer and the service you deserve. Bank First National. We make banking easy, fast, and personal. Visit bankfirstnational.com to find a location near you and just for you. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
If you ever decide Motor West.
Okay, we are back and we are talking business right here on the radio. I'm really excited because our guest is coming on in just a few minutes. And before we get to that, we've got a gentleman who's been a guest on the show frequently.
That's right.
Mr. Wayne Breitbarth. He's an author. He a CPA that actually can speak very well. Nothing against CPAs, but usually public speaking is not their strong suit. But he does a great job of it, and he wrote a book called The Power Formula for LinkedIn Success. He does seminars all over the country. His book is a nationwide success. And without further ado, let's bring in Wayne.
Okay, we got Mr. Wayne Breitbarth on the line today, and he is the author of Power Formula for LinkedIn Success. Wayne, I got a good question here for you. Who should people be connecting? If a small business wants to make contact out there on LinkedIn, who should they be connecting with?
Great question. It comes up so often in my talks, Jim. I appreciate you asking this one. So the idea is you connect with people that are either going to bring you business directly, so that's either clients, because you can get referrals once you're connected, prospective clients, but also other people that hang around or call on your clients. Okay, so it could be related industries who just have the same kind of a business development kind of process in their system. Another great group of people to connect with are people in your region where you are located. Also, another good one would be people that are in your industry and or experts in your industry. So really, it sort of boils back to this, Jim. If you think about the old days when we used to go to a whole bunch of networking events, well, we still go to lots of those. It's still, when you get done at the end of the night, did you meet the right people? It's those same kinds of people.
Okay, good stuff, good stuff. And I want to mention that, the LinkedIn formula works very well with the endless referrals that I do, the more face-to-face networking.
Absolutely. In a prior section of the show, we were talking about technology.
Right.
And learning how to adapt and use the technology of LinkedIn can be very critical to a business or an individual's success.
Oh, yeah. I see people struggle because they don't think they're really up to speed with the technology.
And they don't know how it works, and they're intimidated by the whole thing.
Yes.
Well, there are resources out there to find the answer.
It's like everybody's doing it, but I'm not in on the game, that kind of thing. But anybody, actually, the person who is in the game is our guest this morning. Katherine Ramirez is a very, very dynamic speaker and a interesting entrepreneur. She formed her business called adBidtise. I just want to make sure people get this ad and then BID, adBidtise. I think I'm saying it right. Kat, am I doing it right?
Yes, that is exactly right.
Okay. Just to let folks know, we call you Kat, but your name is Katherine, right?
That is correct.
Yeah, okay. Just so folks don't say, what's he calling her? No, I'm behaving myself. But I'm excited because I got to know you not too long ago. I saw you at a BBB event that you were actually orchestrating, and you were so good, and you came out with so much statistical data, and right off the top of your head, I was really impressed with everything you were doing, and you helped to bring attention to a lot of small business people that many of them are your clients. And so how'd you get started doing this, with adBidtise?
So I created adBidtise because of the path that actually led me to where I am today, which is interesting because if you had asked me 8 years ago, Kat, where would you be today?
Right.
I would probably say, hey, I'm going to be the general manager of a TV station. That's what I'm going to be. So when I created adBidtise, which was about 6 years ago, it was created primarily on the premise of my experience meeting with small to mid-sized businesses every day in television. So my background is broadcast television sales.
Right.
I was in 5 different markets. I represented every TV station you can imagine, ABC, CBS, WB, CW, what have you.
All the affiliates.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so some of them being the number 1 TV station in the market and some of them being the bottom of the barrel, okay?
Yeah.
And in my career history, 80% of my time was as a hiring sales manager, okay? And so the problems that existed were multiple, but the ones that existed that created adBidtise today was in going out and meeting businesses every day, day to day. The number 1 objection that came up every time, okay, and you guys can relate to this because we kind of tapped on this with our LinkedIn expert, and what he does is was affordability, period. Okay?
Can't afford it, yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
And
I used to hear it all the time, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so affordability is translated in 2 forms, okay? So the first form is truly not affordable. They cannot afford it, period. Okay. The second translation is advertising so confusing and so much to absorb and grasp that I don't have time and I don't want to.
Right.
And so they use affordability as
an excuse.
Yeah, and people will totally brainwash themselves to believing, and they say it so much, they start believing it.
Exactly.
And it becomes reality.
That's interesting, Kat. So you kind of transitioned from a corporate role into starting your own company. So was that a little bit intimidating for you, or how did that transition occur? Tell us about that.
Initially, it was great because I always tell every business that I meet with, I have so much information, because after 25 years, I have so much information, 5 different markets. I could be deadly. I could use this power for evil.
Right.
But I use it for the better good. How I use it, and the premise of the platform is to create advocacy. Because there is no advocacy for small to mid-sized businesses when it comes to advertising. Okay? So typically, as a small to mid-sized business, when you are ready to advertise or think about it, you're going to make the call and meet with someone, whether they called you or you called them. Okay? And so they'll come out and meet with you and ask you a series of questions. Okay? I know this because I taught my teams. And then they're going to come back and give you research and say, this is your ideal customer. This is what they look at.
Oh, yeah, they bring a whole lot of convincing data that, we got ratings out the window, and that means your audience is in this batch.
Yes. And then they're going to recommend their recommendation, okay? At this point, the recommendation, because they only sell one platform, they're going to, of course, recommend their platform.
Sure.
Which could be TV, it could be radio, it could be
whoever the media company
whoever the media company is.
Whoever they're representing. Okay, the sad part of this is, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, I'm saying this is the way it's done. And it's been done for years and years and years, because it's never been as competitive as it was today, as it is today, okay? So what happens is the media company thinks about their budget, their goals, their initiatives, their sales manager on their back, and their new business development. So no longer is it about that small business. It is about the corporate initiatives, unfortunately. And so what they do is they dress it up so that it looks as attractive as it can be, so that it is
And they put the fear of death in, if you don't do this, your business is going down. You got to, this is the only way to go. And sometimes people buy into that hook, line, and sinker. They spend all their wad on one spot that just doesn't produce anything. And suddenly, and I'm not saying that it can't, but usually it's misdirected.
And so thus, I created adBidtise. It was from the 25 years of meeting with small and mid-sized businesses every day, hearing them every day say they can't afford advertising being seen as traditional media, Ron, which you kind of alluded to, TV, radio, print, billboard. Of course, all of those are expensive, okay? And so I said, hey, there's got to be a need. There's a serious need for a solution to fill this gap of these people who can't afford these high price, medium, and the ones who have no budget. And I want to fulfill that gap. And that is why adBidtise was created, okay? So me as an entrepreneur, okay, small and mid-sized businesses will meet with me because I feel their pain. I'm an entrepreneur now. Is it hard? Yes. It is very hard, and I'm all about is a role model. I'm not going to ask a small to mid-sized business to do something I wouldn't do. So everything that I do for my business is everything I would ask another business to do for their own.
But you are one who I call it servant leadership. I see that in you. You really go the extra mile and have you mentioned feeling. You really feel the pain of small business people, and I see that comes through in everything. Your complete approach. Hold on, because we're coming up on a break, and I want to dive deeper into this, because you're on America's All Business Talk Show on the radio, the Biz Connection. Stay with us. We got a great segment coming up.
The Affordable Care Act, often referred to as Obamacare, means big changes for businesses. So many revisions have taken place since the law took effect that many businesses understandably don't know what is required of them now and in the months and years to come. Hi, I'm Paul Sanger, shareholder at Winter Cloman Motor and Rep, where for over 45 years we have provided businesses and individuals with sound financial advice. At Winter Cloman Motor and Rep, our business and tax advisors can prepare your business for the law's most impactful provisions. The final rules for the employer mandate have been issued by the IRS, and the experts at Winter Cloman Motor and Rep are dedicated to helping you understand the law's new provisions and prepare for it financially. Winter Cloman Motor and Rep, supporting your success.
Offering comprehensive audit, tax, and business consulting services, Winter Cloman Motor and Rep has offices conveniently located in Brookfield, Oconomowoc, and Watertown. Call today at 262-797-9050 or visit WKMR.com.
Did you know that $11 billion is lost annually due to employee turnover? Companies that lose employees at an alarming rate lose more than just employees. They suffer profit loss. That's why leadership ability in today's workplace matters. Leadership development is arguably the single most important investment any company can make. As much as 75% of employees don't quit their job, they quit their boss. You can't buy loyalty, and you need loyal employees. You need a workplace culture that brings out the hidden leadership qualities that exist in all employees. Watch the LLR Equip, Engage, Empower 5-minute video at bizconnectionwi.com. Again, that site is bizconnectionwi.com.
The quality of your people is what separates good companies from great companies. Selecting and building a quality workforce requires time and effort. That effort often takes you away from your core business. The Nielsen Group can free you from that stressful and time-intensive task. The Nielsen Group specializes in hiring and all aspects of managing your workforce. With years of HR knowledge and experience, the Nielsen Group will recruit, train, retain, recognize, build a high-performance team, and instill leadership in your workforce that will take your company to the very top. Don't stress for another minute. Call the Nielsen Group now at 920-876-4101 or visit thenielsengroup.org and receive a free information kit. You can have your very own human resource department to help you manage your most important asset, your people. Call today and schedule an appointment at 920-876-4101.
Excuse me, waiter. May I switch my order from the fish to the prime rib?
Sure, ma'am. If you could just fill out this 35-page change order in duplicates and provide 3 forms of ID, that'd be great.
At Bank First, we believe that switching shouldn't be difficult. That's why we developed our Switch Kit. You make the call, and we'll do the rest. Bank First National. We make banking easy. Visit bankfirstnational.com to find banking that's tailored and trusted. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Okay, we are back and we are talking business right here on the radio. And our guest today is Kat Ramirez, and her company is adBidtise. And we are really digging deep into some, and maybe dispelling a few myths about advertising and the entire industry. And we're not really trying to take shots at anybody, but I think, we're trying to tell it like it is and tell the truth. And Kat, you had mentioned, with this many years, you had many years of experience working for the big guys, the big networks and all that stuff. And but you found out things, and you've been able now to bring some of those inside things that as an entrepreneur to these small business people, and so they can afford to do it. And now they're going, wow.
One of the things, Kat, that you mentioned was how expensive that some of the traditional media is, advertising, radio, billboards, or whatever. Yeah. And that some people can't afford it. But then there's another aspect to the whole thing, and that's because it is expensive, you want to get the most bang for your dollar. And, I'm just an entrepreneur. I'm making widgets or whatever it is. I don't know how to do that. So, it is expensive, and you realize you should do it, but I don't know exactly how. So is that what adBidtise does?
Yes. So we offer free advertising evaluation to help anybody, any business owner or marketing manager, whoever is looking to get their name out. The whole premise is to understand and identify are you trying to reach a marketplace? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if you are, what adBidtise does is we're more strategic. Mm-hmm. So we look at strategy. So advertising with strategy. Mm-hmm. And so the process is analyzing your business to see, what are your dollars, Mm-hmm. Because how advertising typically works is the media company will take you through a series of process. They'll ask you your budget, but then when they come with a recommendation, they're going to come with a recommendation that's based on their platform. Right. So their minimums.
They're going to slant it toward their platform. Sure.
Exactly. Yeah. And so what adBidtise is all about is not putting you in an uncomfortable position, because you guys talked earlier about how you don't want to overextend yourself. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you tell us your comfortable spot, and then we come up with advertising options to fit those needs, because that need, and then to deliver the expectation that you need as well, okay, so that you can recover, and so that it is an investment and it is something that grows with you.
And you can get a return on that investment.
Exactly. And that's the other thing, is we teach businesses how to measure it, how to know what the return is, how to calculate that. I mean, I think the interesting thing is meeting with businesses who don't understand how many customers does it take to keep them at an equal level, so that they're balanced, or that they break even, or that they get ahead a percent. You know, businesses don't do the math sometimes.
That's right. You know, so often I work with entrepreneurs, and we're talking about marketing or advertising, and they don't measure. And if you don't measure, it's kind of like you're just throwing money up on the wall and see if it sticks. The real key to a successful advertising marketing program is to make sure that it produces a return. Is that correct?
Yes, and it is targeting the audience that you're trying to drive, because you can buy advertising, and again, we can go back to the media companies, you can buy advertising and it's not hitting your target audience, and you're throwing money at the wall.
Well, you know, you're going to pay for it. People come out and they talk arbitrons, and they talk high Nielsen's, and they talk all the ratings, big audience, huge audience. That doesn't mean that my dollars, I'm going to pay for that big audience, and my part of it might be a fraction.
Right.
How am I going to get those people directly? And you're just devising a pathway a little more directly toward the center of that target, the bullseye.
Jim, and you make a great point, because it's interesting. I spoke in an event, and someone said, "Kat, why would I buy a bottom of the barrel kind of media platform that's inexpensive? I want the number one."
Right.
I know, and I'm like, okay. First of all, you don't even know if number one is hitting your target audience, and secondly, why would you pay a premium for number one when you can get efficiencies from this other platform that is right at your target audience? And that's what we do. It's strategy.
That's
Kat, you just mentioned the term target audience, and I want to ask you a question. Have you ever met with a entrepreneur or a business that didn't really understand what their target audience was?
Yes, and we do go through a series of questions so that they understand who they are, so they learn this.
Let's peel
it's
that
not
banana.
Something, I mean, so
onion.
sometimes as they're peeling back the onion or the banana, whatever it is, they actually find out that maybe their target is a little bit different than they thought. Is that true?
That is very true, because they assume that their target is them, and it completely is not.
Right.
So that's a great point.
I know a nightclub owner that doesn't even go in his own place. He doesn't like the clientele. But, you know, this is, and I'm so glad that we're bringing this out, because to me, that's what's kind of hindered the industry, and it's its own worst enemy. By selling it that way. I remember going out with a media person when I was first getting into media sales, like you had been, and he was out there telling people, well, look, when you buy this advertising package from me, you're going to have to hire a telemarketing firm to keep up with all those inbound calls that are going to start coming. And I'm standing there, and I was new, and I don't know that you should be saying that, because I don't think it's going to happen that way, and it doesn't happen that way.
Right, and they should manage your expectation, because that's managing expectation. But the other thing is, don't get caught up in the I'm number one whole kind of humdrum, because if that TV station or radio station or newspaper, whatever, is number one, what does that mean to that business is what should really matter.
You know, and one of the sad parts is some people are operating on, you know, a very meager cushion of money. So they really can't afford to take every bit of it and throw it into something that's not going to come back to them. And if it doesn't come back to them, they're out of money.
That's exact. And so let me make a point to that, because I do work with a lot of businesses that have no budget, okay? None. And that's another story, okay? But what I tell businesses every day, and I'm reality, because I have no fear, and I'm not afraid to tell them the reality of the point, okay? Because I've seen businesses go by the wayside and grow. So they have two options, okay? Two options. First option, you go bust and bang on doors. You go, drive the traffic to your business. You're going to make the phone calls. You're going to bang on the doors. You're going to drive the traffic. You yourself, Okay. Second option is you pay someone. So whether you pay for advertising or you pay for a salesperson, that's it. There is no third option. If you choose to do nothing, you get nothing.
That is so. I just finished a mentoring session, and I told you about this little info widget thing that I've developed, and that's why out of it, that's where the idea came from. I saw how he wasn't going to go out there and do that door knocking, and I said, well, then you got to hire somebody to do it. I can't afford to.
Right.
I said, then
You can't afford not to.
Can't afford not to, but
Yes.
he just didn't have the money. He was stuck.
Right.
And so I said, then your business is never ever going to get to its target audience because there's a barrier that
Right.
you can't penetrate.
Right.
And
So I have to, because I'm a statistics kind of girl,
Yes.
I have to say this because I say it all the time. And I don't think businesses know this, that 50% of small businesses will fail in the first year.
Yeah. I think it's even higher, but some don't get caught up on the radar screen.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
95% in the first 5, okay? But there's a correlation to this statistic. 60% of businesses don't advertise at all.
Right.
There is a connection, and I like beat people or pound them in the head. I'm like, there's a connection.
Right.
So, Kat, we're talking about traditional advertising, TV, radio, billboards, etc. What are some of the
And social media today, too.
Well, yeah, but what are some of the non-traditional platforms, as you call them, that business owners can advertise on?
Okay, so on my website, I have 50 active partners. I have 366 just partners that are out there. So resources for me to go out to.
Yeah.
To give you an example, social media. So I have a couple of companies that do social media. Okay?
Yeah.
Then I have a company that does contesting. That's all they do.
Contesting. Describe that term.
So what they do is they go on the social media platform and they do a contest, so they generate all the leads. So
Okay.
if someone enters a contest, they're seriously considering your business
Sure,
because they wouldn't enter if they didn't want your product or service. Okay, and they do all the legal stuff.
I found a way to actually uncover those leads in a very clever way.
Right.
I like it.
But they do all the footwork, so the business owner does nothing.
That goes back to what you said before, strategy.
Yes.
Yeah, strategic
exactly.
placement. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you think of all the other traditional things. There's the LinkedIn, ads on LinkedIn, okay?
Right.
SEO, SEM, is, search.
SEO is for those
Search engine optimization.
Pay per click.
And I'm not sure I understand how that all works, but I know it's important.
Right. And then you have other avenues, which are church publications, which people probably didn't know that are out there.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And then you have your religious newspapers, and then you have your local community papers, and then you have community websites.
And if you're politically correct, you're into the LGBT marketplace too,
Exactly.
right? Okay,
and then
all
you have
right.
Hispanic media,
Yeah.
and then you have African American media. I mean, I could go on and
Sure.
on and on.
Okay, hold the thought because we are coming up on a break here on America's All Business Talk Show on the radio, the Biz Connection. We're coming right back after a couple of messages. Stay with us.
As a business owner, you're an expert at what you do, and that's why you choose an expert to help you manage your investments. Hi, I'm Margaret Whitcup of Veritas Financial Services. At Veritas, we believe an educated investor is a better investor. Call me at 920-893-5262. I'd like to provide you with a free copy of the book, The Lies My Broker Taught Me, and 101 Truths About Money and Investing. Just for mentioning this radio ad, I'd like you to understand the difference between investing advisors and so-called wealth managers and prudent investing. There are 20 must-answer questions in this book for your journey toward peace of mind. Again, 920-893-5262 and receive your book today. The book will reveal the real truths of investing, and in it, you'll learn why. Again, that number is 920-893-5262.
Happy spring! I'm Cassie Tully, owner of Cassie Tully Fine Art Studio and Framing Shop in Plymouth. And I'd like to introduce you to our new line of home goods. They bring inspiration to your heart and home. My collector's edition original wine glasses are hand-painted with a beautiful red rose. They're perfect for wedding and graduation gifts. This spring, bring your pet portraits plus treasured graduation and vacation photos to our studio and framing shop. Together, let's create a keepsake complete with custom framing that caters to your budget and preserves the memories that matter most. Cassie Tully Fine Art offers gift cards and the inspired art you've been looking for. Visit Cassie Tully Fine Art in the heart of historic downtown Plymouth or shop online at CassieTully.com. See you soon!
The next time you go to open your refrigerator, think about us. That's right, Bank First National. Not just because we also like milk and cookies, but because we understand that assortment of photos and finger paintings on the door are the biggest things in your life. Financial security for your family. What's important to you is important to us. Bank First National. For better banking, think first. Visit bankfirstnational.com for all the financial tools you need to become a part of our family.
Okay, we are back and we are talking business here on America's All Business Talk Show on the radio. And our guest today is Kat Ramirez. Her company is adBidtise. And I think we're getting out some great information today. And I hope a lot of small business people are paying attention to this show because really we're getting the meat of what the real world's like out there when it comes to buying advertising. And Kat, you know, when people start up a business, they think they got that figured out, but usually, and they may even have it in their business plan what they anticipate using, but then they can't afford to use it. And yeah, it sounds nice in the business plan, and but even if they did know how to use it, they might misuse it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I think that probably the bottom line is if any business is starting or a person is starting a business or even has a business, if they've never done an advertising evaluation or an advertising strategy plan, I mean, they should.
Right.
It's worth every second of it. If they choose to do nothing with it, then so be it. But it's every client that we have worked with that we did an advertising evaluation and offer their strategy plan, the outcome and the response is wow.
Yeah.
Okay, now I get it. You know, because you really do connect the dots and you really do start to understand what advertising's about.
Yeah, and Kat, there's actually two aspects to advertising. One is choosing the right platform. Then the other is the right message. So do you help them get the right message out there after you go through the target audience and get them to really understand, you know, who they're trying to sell to?
Right, and that is a great question. So
no call to action, stuff like that. You know,
Right. So yes. So what happens is whether it's through a person or through our website is we're always asking, is this a branding message or is this call to action? If they don't understand what I'm saying, then I describe it to them so they understand the difference. Okay, because they're completely different. Your response is going to be completely different, and the outcomes will be different.
So just explain the difference between branding and a call to action.
Okay, so branding is what typically is out there. You'll see businesses who are trying to stay top of mind. There's no offer, there's nothing. They're talking about their business, purely business branding. Okay, nothing to get them
Banks
to run
like to
the
do
door.
a lot of it.
Yes. Okay, and then call to action is, hey, I have this offer. Domino's does it with their $5. McDonald's does it with their 2-for-1s. Anything that has something where it's an urgent need to do something today.
Okay? Call to action.
Yes.
And when you get, when you start to measure that, you speak before a lot of groups. I get out there and speak before some groups. And one thing I mention is I say, let me do a little test on you. Fast food restaurants. Let's give me 1 through 10. All right. And McDonald's is always number 1. And usually Burger King, Wendy's, maybe, and they get down to about number 4 or 5, and it starts getting real tough.
Right.
So they're out there.
Yes.
But they're not as top of mind as just what you were describing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because here's the reality is, media has become so fragmented. Like there are so many places to advertise today. So many places. And that's why strategy is a big part of advertising today.
It's splintered.
Yes. You can still stand out. You can still be on your minimum budget, and you can still stand out, but you have to be strategic and you have to pick the platform that is very targeted.
I like that.
And the less money that you have available, the more important strategy is. Is that right?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So you can survive. So don't assume I have to do mainstream media, okay? Because that is the illusion from yesterday.
Right.
Okay, when we had very limited media to choose from.
That's right. You had 3 networks and not even a 4th. Fox wasn't around then. Yeah,
Yes.
it was good.
And so today you've got all kinds of stuff. I mean, you have, Pandora, you have all this stuff that you can advertise on. And again, it just depends on your business and who you're trying
And
to
back
target.
in those days, you had phone books.
Yes.
And you had newspaper and, whatever else.
Right.
But, yeah, you're right. It
Kat,
was,
let me ask you a question. So many business owners I talk to, they, one of the things I get back when you start talking about advertising, or I can't afford to hire myself. So how did you, being an advertiser, be really, people had to get to know you and to know the services you offer. So what are some of the things you did to kind of build your reputation?
Okay, so that's a great question. And it's interesting because I went through a series of things as well. And so I get out and I network as much as I can. So when I talk about you have the 2 options, I pound the pavement.
Yeah.
I knock on doors, I make calls.
Right.
So that's first and foremost. I use social media extremely. So I do paid advertising on social media. I use LinkedIn because I am a B2B, okay?
Right.
And so it's appropriate. It fits my model.
Sure,
I also do workshops, okay? Free workshops. I sometimes partner with the Better Business Bureau, and I will do workshops with them. And those are a very minimum charge, but I solicit those on Facebook. I buy ads because I try to capitalize on my partners. The Better Business Bureau is very well known.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I capitalize on that? And so those are some of the things that I do.
And they're pro-business, and they really do a lot for small businesses, too. So you're
Absolutely.
partnering strategically partnering with the right people.
Absolutely. So a lot of
like
partnerships like that. But if anybody follows me, you'll see I am pounding the pavement. I'm screaming at the top of my lungs.
We're kind of a niche out here with what we're doing on the radio. I mean, we're really kind of going after championing entrepreneurs. And so if I go out and try to sell, people have tried to buy sponsorship from this show that I don't think fits the audience. So I just don't. It's not that I want to walk away and leave money on the table, but I don't think it's right for them. I don't think it's right for our audience, so I just kind of don't go that way. But a lot of places don't do that. They'll take on anybody who has $1, right?
Right, which is unfortunate. But I mean,
Yeah.
it's the reality of corporate America, because corporate America has to fulfill their resources.
Well, you got boards of directors, you got stockholders that own money in these companies that own stock. Yeah, you got to please them.
Right.
Every 90 days, they better be smiling at the board meetings.
And
or the CEO's going.
That's right. And the way that you do that is by getting more revenue, more profit.
Yeah. And it can look good in the short term unless you let them, I think it was one of the big banks. I remember when I'd worked for a short stint, and they had just lost $1 billion the last quarter, or a couple billion, maybe it was. $1 billion here, $1 billion there. Pretty soon you got real money, right? Yeah, and but it was a strategic plan.
Right. But I have to say this because I watch other media companies pretty, regularly,
Sure.
and the trades and everything. And so the thing that turns me off is when media companies tout their success, the revenue, the growth, especially publicly to small businesses in their forums, okay? Right. And so my whole big thing is, hey, why don't these media companies highlight businesses that have survived or have succeeded, or they partner with that they overcame a big challenge, okay? Because those are the things I talk about. I'm not going to talk about my revenue growth or
That's
things
right.
like that. It's
I helped a business survive because I created an ad campaign that actually produced a return rather than all the other things that you see out there.
Yeah, you're not looking for that write-up in the Wall Street Journal to tell them about what you did globally to accentuate, your audience in China or something.
That's right. Those are the real stories, the ones where you created a return.
This time has gone just so fast today, and Kat, it's just we got to get you back on here and really dig deeper into this because you really brought a mountain of information to the show today. But before you get out of here, I want to give a little biz tip because I know you got a fountain of them and to our audience. So what would you say, maybe in the startup phase, you were talking about people with very little cash. That's the real world,
Right,
for
right.
startups. Yeah.
So at the end of the day, every business should look in the mirror, look at themselves,
Yeah.
and because here's the reality: I put my sweat, tears, and blood
Yeah.
into my business, and I know other people did into their business.
Right.
And the reality is, if you're not willing to invest back into your business so that it grows,
Right.
I mean, why are you in business?
Yeah.
Because that is the reality. And you have to make an investment in yourself in order for your business to grow. You have to. At the end of the day, you've got to do something.
Yeah.
And that investment can be money, but it can also be
Their
time.
time. Yes.
Yeah, and
Yes.
mostly it is time, and most of the time they're donating is so fragmented because they're distracted by so many other things.
Right.
So, well, good stuff today. I'm totally. Let's give out contact information because I think people would want to get a hold of you because you're a great consultant, if nothing else. I mean, you're not out there to stuff people's throats with, hey, let's talk, let's talk. You're a consultant, and I mentioned the possibility of you becoming a score person.
Right,
Yeah,
yep.
and I'm excited about that.
Yeah. So again, I do workshops. I do free consultations. I never expect anybody to do anything. I never put them outside their comfort level.
Sure.
The contact info is info@adbidtise.com, and that's adbidtise.com.
Okay.
The number is 866-607-0767. It's pretty easy. And I'll say it again, 866-607-0767. And again, just know and understand that advertise is about advocacy. We're about empowerment and offering small to mid-sized businesses options.
I like that.
Kat Ramirez, thank you so much for coming in. You have brought a lot of information to us today. Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
you'll be back here.
Okay, great.
All right, that's our show. And Ron, where are we going next week?
Well, Jim, it's going to be a surprise because I'm not necessarily sure who we're going to have next week, but we will have.
Don't like surprise.
We will have
Just
an
kidding.
interesting story, I guarantee it.
Good deal. Good deal. Well, that's our show, and whatever station you're hearing this on, same time, same station. We'll see you next week.